Fresh from the showcase here at SwissWatchExpo, we're choosing some of my most favorite watches for the summer. They are considered professional watches. They're dive watches. And the reason that I like them is because they're so durable and you can wear them with anything. The great thing about dive watches is they're universal for dress, for casual occasions, but mostly you want to wear them for casual occasions because they can be pretty big. Most of the examples that I've got here are larger and taller. They're my favorite collection. We're not talking about the history of these watches today. We're not going to get into the technical details of them either. We just want to talk today about what I like, what I want to wear, and what have captured my attention over the years, my favorite pieces. One of my favorite pieces, we'll start with the IWC Aquatimer. Now, one of the things about the Aquatimer is it is the quintessential historical piece in terms of diving. Jacques Cousteau was a big-time wearer of the Aquatimer, and the history of the Aquatimer has changed and the look has changed over the years, but I chose one of the watches that we have in our inventory that's my favorite. I'm obviously a large fan of blue dials and blue watches, and the great thing about this particular watch is you can change out the strap from the rubber to the metal as well. But this one happens to be a discontinued model, and it has superluminova markers as well as the superluminova bezel, and it's also got a bezel that's made out of the sapphire crystal overlay, which is really cool. This watch is fairly tall and fairly thick as it lays on the wrist, but it's a lot less tall than the Planet Ocean Omega, which is the next model that I have here in blue. I love the Planet Ocean. This also comes in the liquid metal or the titanium version. This one happens to have the ceramic inlay bezel. This one happens to have the crystal case back where you can see the entire movement of the Omega watch. Now this one does sit very tall on your wrist, and I'm going to use my right arm as an example because you can see just how tall it lays on my wrist. Now I have a large wrist. I wear between 7.5 and 7.75 in terms of the bracelet circumference, which is a pretty large wrist. So if you notice, this watch is large. If you have a smaller wrist, it may not be for you, but there are some other Planet Ocean options, and there's a 300M, which we're going to talk about in just a second. Now, you probably are wondering what I have on my left wrist, which is my most favorite and personal possession, my Breitling Super Ocean Heritage. It also has the Mercury silver dial, now discontinued. We have several Super Oceans in our inventory here at SwissWatchExpo, so definitely go to our website and check them out. We have different colors. We've got the blue as well. So the next watch that I'm going to show you is the Omega 300M for smaller wrists. Now, keeping in mind, this IWC is a 46 millimeter. The Planet Ocean is what they call a 45.5, but it's technically a 46. They round things up in the watch industry. So if you see these and you see them listed as the 46 millimeter, that's why. Now the 300M, oddly enough, is considered a 41.5, which is actually a 42 millimeter. Now, the reason that I kind of displayed this is because this has the James Bond bracelet, the James Bond series. This is a chronograph. It does have the ceramic inlay bezel. It's a very nice looking watch, and I'm going to put this one on my right wrist as well because I want to display. This one is also tall, but it's also a lot smaller and has a lot smaller presence on the wrist. And you can see just how tall that watch actually is on my wrist. And the color is absolutely phenomenal. I've actually fallen in love with this Omega 300M over the years. I wasn't really a huge fan of this particular watch, and I'm not the biggest fan of a chronograph anyway, but this watch really gets my attention. And the funny thing is, it was the Planet Ocean previously that I liked, and now I like the 300M the best. Things change. This is why we do so well here at SwissWatchExpo, because we can take trades and you can sell us your old watch and you can pick up the new one. So when you're tired of the old style, you can switch to the new. Now, the final one on the list here is a thinner model of the diver. It's a Cartier, and the Cartier Calibre diver. It has the jeweled end piece for the crown. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's got that blue shimmer to it, something that you always connect mentally with Cartier. Anytime you see one of their watches, you know when you see the blue jewel. Now, this one has the ceramic bezel as well. It's kind of got a convex shape, or a concave shape in the way that the dial lays out through from the top to the crystal, which is interesting because that protects that crystal from getting chipped or scratched whenever you wear it. But it's a lot thinner, as you can see. And when I put it on my wrist, and by the way, this is a 42 millimeter watch. It looks larger than that though. Even in comparison to all of these sitting up here, we start with a 46, another 46, we go to a 42 and a 42. All of these look very similar, just even laying together. So you really need to kind of know how that works on your wrist, and that's the reason I'm kind of detailing that. This Cartier diver is absolutely gorgeous. You can get it on a rubber strap as well. You can buy the rubber strap from Cartier. We actually have them in our showroom on rubber straps already, if you prefer that. It's a great watch for dressing up or for casual events, but I've picked these watches because I find these to be the most interesting pieces, my favorite pieces overall. We wear divers' watches because they're casual. Now we're going to have a part 2 session of this, and the reason we're doing a part 2, if you're wondering what these two watches are over here, this is a Tudor and this is a Zenith, and we're going to talk about those in part 2 and why they're not connected to the diver watch, but they're just important on their own. And we'll talk about that in the next segment. Fresh from the showcase here at SwissWatchExpo, be sure to tune into our second episode with these two watches, but also remember, click the bell below, sign up, talk to us, leave us comments or questions, and we'll get back to you. If you have any other questions about any of the divers, because we do have a fortune of them here, and I probably have more favorites actually in the case that I'm letting on, but these are the top picks for now. If you have any questions about the divers, give us a call. We'll be sure to answer all of your questions.